Should we start?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, friends. Welcome. Let me welcome you all to the webinar organized by NSE and ANMI on pledge and repledge and framework of margins. I want to welcome Mr. Vikram Kothari, MD and CEO of NCL, Mr. Huzefa Mahuvawala, Ms. Renu Bhandari, Mr. Mahesh, Agal, and Mr. Ravi, Ramaiya. There's a lot of confusion going on in the entire pledge, repledge process, margins, and people are really confused, have a lot of queries. So today, ANMI is very happy to organize this webinar in which we have a host of eminent speakers who will probably answer all of your queries, and we will go home a satisfied lot. Over the last 4 months, our lives have undergone a sea change because of the coronavirus, where people have started living differently, and SEBI has promised to add fuel to the fire. So they will make us do business in a different way, and hopefully it should be a safer and a pleasant way. Of course, I think the changeover will be a little troublesome, but with the help of all our speakers and handholders, we'll be doing fine. So I would request our president, Mr. Anup Khandelwal, to take the baton, introduce the speakers, and start the webinar.
Thank you, Rajiv bhai. Hello, everyone. Good morning to you all. It is our pleasure that we have with us Sri Vikram Kothari, MD and CEO of NCL, and his team of officers, Mr. Huzefa Mahuvawala, Vice President Risk Management NCL, Mr. Renu Bhandari, Vice President NSE, Mr. Mahesh Agal, Deputy Manager NSE, and Mr. Ravi Ramaiya, Partner Shah and Ramaiya. ANMI is thankful to you all for taking out time to meet our members and sharing valuable thoughts before us. We and our workforce had faced tough time in last 4 months due to lockdown. Adding to this, the last 1 month has put tremendous pressure on our community due to strict approach of regulator toward implementation of new framework of margin, pledge repledge, and other circulars. ANMI is trying its best to convince appropriate authorities at various ranks, detailing practical difficulties that our members will face if changes come into force at a time. While going through the work log, I found that we have made approximately 8 submissions on cash margins and approximately 4 submissions on pledge and repledge to regulators. Our SEBI committee, exchange committee, and UI committee chairmen are continuously in dialogue with their respective authority on this matter. I was present in a virtual meeting with SEBI ED Nagendra Parikh and in one virtual meeting with Joint Secretary DEA Ministry of Finance Sri Anand Mohan Bajaj to put forth our concerns. All our National Council members, including our past presidents, are extending support at their best. Our media presence was also very important on these matters. Our submissions on margin, inspection, and pledge and repledge was covered widely in approximately 10 or more newspapers. We have also tried hard to highlight our issues to PMO and FM through digital media coverage like Twitter, etc. ANMI has 3 submissions. First, not to penalize margin shortfall up to 5 lakhs. Second, share sales should be exempted from margin collection from clients. Third, to review the concept of peak margin or 100% margin on intraday trade, even though presently spread over 1 year. We are pursuing and we will continue to pursue the matter with the respective authorities for streamlining the proposed cash margining system and other issues. During this period, we have read all the suggestions sent by our members through WhatsApp and email, which helped us a lot in preparing submissions on these important subjects. I will not miss to say thanks for your active participation. there is one area where we need your support. I request you all to write a mail to the concerned authorities, listing out all the practical difficulties you are facing with the CC copy to NME. Irrespective of the efforts initiated by NME to convince concerned authorities at various levels to consider our submissions, I am of the view that our members shall be fully kept informed about the changes that are taking place with effect from 1st August. Today, I am glad to introduce Mr. Ravi Ramaiya, our newly impaneled compliance expert. I will request him to speak more on the solution that members need at this crucial time. I will also request all participants to take full benefit of today's session by getting solution to their queries. Last but not the least, I would like to say thanks to Sri Rajiv Gupta, Director NME and Chairman, Membership Committee, who is hosting today's webinar. He is a dynamic personality and has been associated with NME for more than 15 years. I saw him giving very valuable feedback in all the meetings and discussions. He also has deep knowledge on compliance-related matters. With this, I am ending my introductory note. Over to Rajiv ji for continuing the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Anup ji. In our list of eminent speakers, I would like to invite Mr. Vikram Kothari to start the proceedings. He will start the proceedings with his team. Mr. Vikram Kothari is MD and CEO of NSE Clearing Limited. He has worked in the areas of product development, operations, risk management, and sales in the stock exchange, custody and clearing and banking space for more than 20 years. Prior to his current role as Managing Director of NSEL, he has worked with organizations like JP Morgan Chase, HSBC, NSE in various capacities. So we know that we are in very safe hands. And before we start, Mr. Vikram, just one little concern of our members, other than this margin, is regarding receipt of files very late on expiry days. I know I am digressing from the topic, but they come in at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and end of the day, our brokers are, forced to do at 9, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock. In case you could bypass certain things and try to do it early, we'll be obliged. Handing over the mic to Mr. Vikram Kothari.
Thank you, Rajiv ji. And Rajiv ji, I'll answer a little bit of that question, last question that you raised. But before that, I think thank you, ANMI, for organizing this webinar. And thank you, everybody, for joining the webinar today. In fact, I think we all have been learning through the process. The regulations have been evolving. I think today's webinar, I'll try to keep it very brief because I would like the team which is there from NSE and NSE Clearing to do the presentation and give you enough time for a lot of questions. In fact, as I was about to begin, I saw a lot of questions popping up. So we'll try to make the most of it. And before I begin, I think in these troubled times, I hope you and your families all are keeping well. I think that's one of the most important part that we need to take care of. So client asset protection and segregation are one of the topmost priority for the regulators today. In line with that requirement, there have been multiple discussions over the last year. In fact, more than last year. Relook at the risk management and the margining framework also was with perspective of protection of the market and looking at various aspects of how things can be streamlined for ensuring safeguard of the market, safeguard of the investor, and the right amount of protection. So I think that's been the theme over the last 1.5 to 2 years with the regulators. There have been various controls and checks that have been announced in the recent past around client asset protection. And now the pledge model is the next step in that direction. In the process of implementation of the model, while the regulators, if you look at the guidelines that were published, regulators actually allowed batch processing of the client security benefit. However, we at NSE Clearing, the moment we saw that circular, in fact, prior to that, when we were into discussions, we had decided that from the first day itself, we will try and build a system or a process which is near real time so as not to inconvenience the members. So I'm aware that in the process of implementation, when all the members have migrated to the new framework, There may be gaps identified, and we shall be very open as both NSE and NSE Clearing. We shall be very open to receive that feedback and continue to make improvements on an ongoing basis. I'm trying to keep it brief. And Rajiv ji, just to answer that question about files coming in late, on expiry days, yes, 9:30, I don't know, that may be one-off occasions. Normally, we try to track on an expiry day at between 7 and 7:30 is normally when we try to give the files out. And there's a reason why it happens on expiry days. And in fact, unfortunately, now the expiry day is not only on one day of the week, that is Thursday. With BSE launching contracts which are maturing on Monday, there's an expiry even on Monday. And believe me, my senior management team, which we have Huzefa out here, Ms. Rana Usman, everybody tracks processing on Monday and Thursday to make sure that the files, there are no delays as far as possible. But still, given that we have this CTM process, which is the do not exercise process on expiry days, which earlier ANMI has also represented, and in fact we have also represented. There was a different purpose behind that CTM window. That CTM window increases about 1 hour of minimum 1 hour of processing at the clearing corporations on expiry days. So I think we are working we are working with some brokers associations as well to see if that window, which was a different purpose altogether with respect to STT, that purpose does not exist anymore. So is that if that window can be actually looked at demising, and there can be other ways of controlling the physical settlement risk. So that is something that is we are undergoing, and that clearly adds about 1 hour on expiry day to our processing. So that's broadly the reason why you see expiry day delays. But let's see, as we move forward, we are doing a lot of things to further streamline our processes to ensure that our files can come closer and closer. We are decoupling certain processes out. It'll just take us a bit more time, but let me assure you, we are all conscious of the delays, and we are trying to work to streamline it further as far as possible. Thank you once again, everybody, for support that you give to NCL. With this, we have our team with our Chief Risk Officer Huzefa Mahuvawala, who's going to take you through a presentation. We have Renu from the NSE regulatory team. Renu Bhandari is a very well-known person to most of you through member interfacing. And you have Shubhankar, Mahesh from the NSE regulatory team, who will be there to answer your questions today. With that, Rajiv ji, I would like to hand it over back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Kothari. We are so obliged to have you on a Saturday. I know it's a holiday, but we made you work. Thank you so much. And now, friends, let's continue with the technical side of the seminar. I invite Mr. Huzefa Mahuvawala, Vice President, NCL. He will give you a brief about the processes involved and how to go about the thing. And Mr. Huzefa, just to start, little question from my side, that, we should design the entire system in such a way that we don't not only safeguard these systems from day traders, jobbers, speculators, but make it conducive for the retail investors. A person who wants to trade, say, once in 3 months, how does he do it? Say, suppose he wants to sell 10 lakh rupees worth of shares, his wife is in a hospital. How does he go about it? Do I ask him for a 3 lakh margin upfront? Obviously, he's not going to pledge me the shares. So we need to make the system which is conducive to all kind of people, and especially the small investors. So in case you could throw some light on that, I'll invite Mr. Huzefa Wala, and Huzefa, I'm so sorry, Mr. Huzefa Mahuvawala, and to proceed further. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we will maybe mostly go into a technical side of it as to how the things will work. So we'll just run through a presentation on how the system will work of this margin pledge repledge, and maybe then we will have a lot of queries on the nuances of it, which we can take it subsequently. So just to go through it, the process earlier was that the client securities were transferred to the members' account, and then members used to transfer it to the clearing members, and then the clearing members used to pledge it to the clearing corporation. Now with the new process, securities do not need to transfer out of the client's account. They will be pledged from the client's account to the respective member's account using the new pledge facility of the depository. The trading member, or if he is a self-clearing members, they can directly then pledge to the clearing corporation. If the member is a trading member, they can repledge the same securities to the clearing member, and the clearing member can repledge to the clearing corporation. The major difference which will come now in the new process is, earlier there was no single identification as to whether the securities which have been placed with the clearing member or the clearing corporation belongs to which client. But now the depository will keep a full trail from which account the securities have been pledged and then repledged further, giving everybody in the chain the clear picture as to the security belongs to which client. It will ensure that that client securities are used only for providing exposures and to meet the margin requirements of that respective clients. So this is the major change which will happen in the new system compared to the existing system. So going forward as to how the process will work, the depositories have done a major change in their systems. They have created a complete new type of a pledge, which is termed as a margin pledge. And for this purpose, every members, either the trading member or the clearing member, have to open a separate demat account. The major questions which have been coming to us also is to what type of account, because the depositories are allowing to open 3 types of account, which is a trading member client securities pledge account, the clearing member client securities pledge account, and a TM/CM client securities pledge account. So we have been advising entities, members, saying that if they are TM in one segment and CM in another segment, or they are CM in all segments, but futuristically they would like to become TM in some segment, then for such members, it is advisable to use the TM/CM client securities margin account, because this account can be used for all segments. You need not have separate accounts for each segment. You can have a single account for all segments. Even if you are having different clearing corporation for different segments, you can use the same account. You need not have separate accounts for separate clearing corporations also. And if you are TM/CM, you from the same account, you can pledge to the clearing corporation also and to the clearing member also simultaneously. So this provides a facility, flexibility, not to have multiple accounts segment wise or CC wise or entity wise, and you can use a single account. But the option is available. Members, for their own convenience, if they want to have separate accounts, they can definitely open separate accounts also. People who are only doing clearing business, mostly like a PCM type of people, they will have to open only a CM client securities account. And how the important requirement is that since it will be a new account, this new account needs to be registered with the clearing corporation. So only people who are clearing members will have to register. So if you are only a trading member, you need not register this account with the clearing corporation. You need to just inform that to your clearing member. Well, all clearing members will have to register this account with the clearing corporation. So there are a certain set of documents like a covering letter, the client master list of the account, and a deed of pledge which needs to be submitted. Since it is very difficult to provide documents physically, we have been advising people that they can send us the scan copy, and maybe subsequently when things normalize, we will ask them to hand over the physical documents. With regards to pledging of securities, how will it work is, it's more of a depository process, but what we have understood from the depositories, I will like to just add on that is, the client will have to pledge the securities from their account to the respective trading member, and the UCC, which would have been already seeded in the demat account, will be used to pledging that, so that the information of the UCCs will be also included in the pledge information. The same security which is received as pledge from the trading member, they can repledge it in favor of the clearing member, and the clearing member can again repledge the same to the clearing corporation. So once the clearing corporation receives those securities, it will do the valuation and then park that value for that respective clients based on the UCC information which we have received. So coming to next on how the valuation will work is, we are not changing any norms with respect to valuations or any prudential limits with respect to whatever limits we are accepting. So the clearing member will be able to place the same quantum of the securities which they were able to place earlier, neither less, neither more. So whatever quantum they were able to place earlier based on the limits, they will continue to able to place in the new mechanism also. And the only difference which will happen is now if there are securities which are pledged which may be beyond the limits, then how the CC will consider, because earlier there was no requirement to we can just proportionately consider, we used to proportionately consider, but now since it will be client specific, if the clearing member has given his own securities, we will give priority to that. So all clearing members own securities will be considered before is for valuation, and for all other client securities it will be based on a first in first out basis. So whatever securities have come first will be given preference for giving the benefit. All securities which have come after the limits have been crossed will not be considered for benefit. So in this numerical examples, how the valuations will keep on adding is what we are trying to display. So if clients have given specific values, those values can be assigned only to that client and cannot be added to other clients' collateral. Similarly, client securities which have been given cannot be added to the trading members' collateral or the clearing members' collateral. However, the trading member's own collateral can be used to meet obligation of its own proprietary trades plus all its client trades, because finally the trading member is responsible. Similarly, the clearing member's own collateral can be used to meet obligation of its own trades plus all of his trading members' trades, because he is responsible entity. So securities which are given by the member himself of his own can be used to meet the obligations of himself plus the clients. Coming next to on the process part of it as to how will it happen. So we will be having a separate collateral of the clearing member, which will include all his BGs, FD, cash, and securities which he have given from his own account. And then there will be separate securities of the client. When the trade happens, the margin will be first blocked from the limit of the clearing member and the trading member, which is as of now also been done. So the moment the trade happens, the limit gets blocked. So like in this example, in step 1, the margins comes, the margin requirement is 80 rupees. It gets blocked from the clearing member and the trading member. In the step 2, we will go and check whether that client who have traded, whether their collateral is available with the clearing corporation. If yes, that much margin requirement is reduced from that client's collateral, is blocked from that client collateral, and equivalent credit is given to the clearing member and trading member from whom we had earlier blocked. So like in this example, the 80 which was blocked, credit will be given back to the CM and TM, and accordingly their limits will increase further. Then say immediately, so this like Vikram sir already told that as per the requirement we can do this and computation on a batch basis or an end of day basis also, but we will try and do it on a, as near to possible real time, but still it will involve some amount of time gap which will require for these things. And subsequently, if there is a reduction, so similar examples are there of step 3 and step 4, where if the further trades happen, the margin will go. If the client's collateral is insufficient, the margin will be then blocked from the trading member's collateral. If trading member's collateral is also insufficient, then the margin will be blocked from the clearing member's collateral. So this is how the hierarchy of blocking will work. Similarly, when the release happens, the credit will be given since the margins are blocked only from the trading member and the client's collateral, the credit will be given to that respective entity where the collateral has been blocked. So this is how the monitoring will happen. We will, like I said, we'll try and see to ensure that this monitoring and this credits and debits happens as real time as possible. One major other change which will happen is in the way the collaterals are released to the member. So currently, when the release request is required, the member simply tells us the information on the security and the ISIN which they need to release. Once they have released, requested, the clearing corporation does margin checks and simply releases any of those securities which are available to us. Now, since the securities available with clearing corporations are in a specific, for a specific client and for a specific trading member, whenever the member wants a release, they need to intimate for which client they require a release and for which trading member. Accordingly, whenever the request, so we have changed the format in which the release request has to be processed to the clearing corporation. We have issued a new file format for that. So whenever the member needs to put a release request, they need to intimate the client code also and the trading member code also for which they want a release. And once we do our normal checks, the release instruction will be given to the depositories. Now, this release does not mean that the total pledge has been released. So today, earlier there was only one pledge, and then securities used to be getting transferred back to the client account. Now there are 3 levels of pledges. Level 1 is from client to TM, level 2 from TM to CM, and level 3 from CM to CC. When the clearing corporation will release a pledge, it will only release the pledge at level 3. If the securities are required by the client, then the CM has to release the pledge level 2, where the securities will then go back to the TM. And then the TM will have to release the pledge to the client when the client securities will become free, and then he can use it for whatever purpose he requires. So this 3 level of pledges will also have to be released when the release happens. In terms of informations, we will be providing end of day detailed breakup of client level collateral which are available with the clearing corporation, what valuation has been considered, what has not been considered. On a real-time basis, also on the NMA screen, members will be able to see the valuation at a individual client level and how much margins are actually blocked from that client collateral. Additionally, since we are doing specific releases, after every release we'll be providing as to which pledge sequence number has been released by the clearing corporation, so that members are aware that this pledge sequence numbers have been released, and they can release further it to their own clearing member and the trading member. So this is in nutshell the process which will work from 1st of August for handling the client securities in terms of margin pledge and repledge. We can maybe more answer back on the question and answer session, sir.
Are we done, Mr. Huzefa?
Yes, sir. We can then now pass on to the next.
Thank you so much, Mr. Huzefa. That was such an enlightening thing, and which you explained in much detail. The only question that comes to my mind, once you have all the collaterals values client-wise with you, why do you want margin reporting from us? While giving us the MG13 file, once you have the collateral value with you, why can't you populate the value of collaterals for every client and just ask us for the balance whether we are having cash or not?
So there are multiple issues in that. One is that not all collaterals would be available with the clearing corporation to populate that. Second is the valuation which clearing corporation does and the valuation which members does can be quite different. So the haircut which clearing corporation is applying may be quite higher, while the trading member giving the haircut to the client or the clearing member giving haircut to the trading member may be quite different. So those all differences will then lead to showing more collateral, and then there can be reconciliation issues and different things of that. That's why we have not got into that. We will continue the reporting mechanism as it is.
Yeah, and I understand that we'll take up all the questions that are popping up on my screen one by and at a breakneck speed. I think I already have 95 new queries in addition to whatever preset numbers we have. So be prepared for a barrage of queries. Thank you, Mr. Huzefa.
I think lots of query will be solved because Ravi has already in his head lot of answers.
Yeah. Okay. So now let me invite Ms. Renu Bhandari to the audience, and she actually needs no introduction for at least for people in the north. She's a vice president NSE. She's in charge of inspections and compliances, and she's based out of northern region. So most of the members, especially in northern region, are well aware of her presence and her knowledge. She has a very deep knowledge of every subject. So I'm absolutely confident that she will really enlighten all the members. And ma'am, while giving your presentation, my personal request, could you just elaborate on what are the constituents of margins? That is one question that is, keeps on repeating with us. Secondly, if a client has made the pay-in to us, but we've not done an API, early pay into the exchange, is it considered as margin? These are two little questions that were niggling. And over to Ms. Renu. Thank you so much.
Sure, Rajiv. Thank you so much for a nice introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you, ANMI, Rajiv ji, Ravi, Anup ji, for organizing this webinar. And I'm sure, I think this was a need of this was required very badly because the system is going to be implemented now from 1st of August. I remember when we implemented handling of client securities last year, that time also we did back-to-back sessions on every Thursday for 4 weeks. And members were told that any day you can come on these Thursdays and there is no need for any invite. You can come, understand, clear your doubts, because more and more we interact, more and more we discuss, our doubts are clear. I hope all of you are safe, and thank you members also for joining this program. And I feel that in case still today we are not able to resolve all queries, I'm sure we will be able to. But as Ravi also said and Rajiv ji also said that there are barrage of queries. So we will see that we should be able to answer each and everything to the satisfaction of members. But still next week also we can look at 1 more or 2 more sessions. We can organize and we can organize. Now in this pandemic, organizing program is very, very easy, because you have to just create a webinar and you can send a link to people. People can also join in good numbers, which was really difficult if you have to do it in a hall and invite everyone. And commuting problem, all those things are also not there when you are joining from homes. As Huzefa already set the tone that how new system will work from actually 1st of August and how pledge, repledge system will work from 1st of August. Let me just touch base on some of the aspects, how you will be considering the margins and how will you be reporting, and what all would be considered while teams are verifying whether the margin reported is right or no. As Rajiv ji also mentioned that how EPI and all would be considered, and there are certain stocks which member is taking as a margin, but these are not given to maybe clearing member and a clearing corporation because of the prudential norms. Then how do we do this and how we go forward from 1st of August? So circular really says that from 1st of August, all the securities which are coming from the client has to be only through pledge repledge system. Nobody can actually get the securities transferred to their account. Till now, we used to get securities in the client collateral account, and the securities which are there in client collateral account would be accepted as margin. Whether you are giving it to the clearing member or a clearing corporation or not, if it is lying in the client collateral account, it is deemed as margin which has been collected from the client. In case member is only a trading member, of course he will give it to the clearing member, and clearing member in turn will pledge it to the CC. And if any member who is also a self-clearing member and a clearing member, then he will directly give it to CC, because then there is no further role in between. Now only the question comes that how do we go from 1st of August? As I said, transfers will not be allowed in the client collateral account. So only pledge repledge system will work. I would request somebody will show the PPT. Somebody was showing, I think it has been, we can go to the next slide. Thank you so much. So as I said that any securities which are transferred to client collateral account, it is not permitted. So everything has to be only through the depository system, and that to pledge repledge system only, as Huzefa explained. Now we come to power of attorney, as power of attorney is also stopped. So therefore, in case securities are lying in the demat account of the client and member is holding a power of attorney, and member is also a DP, till now we were accepting that also as a margin. But from 1st of August, all these systems have to be closed, and these securities which will come as pledge repledge will come in client securities margin pledge account. And there First, it will be pledged, then repledged to CM, and then to the CC. Now, just to clear one question here, because I was seeing a lot of people are posting this question. I don't have right answer currently, but I can assure that we are in discussion with SEBI, and we are representing to SEBI that the parallel system, because from 1st of August, everything goes live in the new system, is little tough. So therefore, from 1st of August, can we parallelly work with the current system as well as with the new system? So no new fresh security will be transferred to the client collateral account. However, whatever is currently lying in the client collateral account or with the clearing member or with the clearing corporation should be considered as margin. And with the same time, even the POA stock, where POA is with member and securities are lying in the demat account of the client, those also should continue till 31st of August only. However, we have not yet got go ahead. We plan to issue FAQ also for this. Therefore, we were waiting. If we issue the circular and do not include this, then a lot of questions are still unanswered for the member. So we are hoping that this month we would be able to parallelly continue both the systems, but fresh transfers to client collateral account will not be permitted. But all the members need to open this demat account, which is client securities margin pledge account. And the current account, which is there, a client collateral account, needs to be closed by 31st of August, which means that everything needs to be transferred to the client, and then from there pledge repledge has to be done. Now, as I said that whatever will come to trading member under this account, which is client securities margin pledge account, they will pledge it to clearing member and then to the clearing corporation. Not necessary that all the securities are required to be pledged with CC or CM, but I would urge that whatever margins are there for the clients, to that extent, at least we should pledge those securities to the clearing member. And those securities can in turn go to CC as well. With this, what kind of securities? No change. All securities, government securities, mutual fund, whatever we are accepting till now, there is no change in that. So as far as kind of securities, which securities are concerned, no changes done. Mutual funds, whatever haircut used to be there, it is same. For GSEC, T-bill, everything remains same. For NRI clients also, the things would remain same. Only thing with regard to MTF stocks, MTF funded stocks. Now these MTF funded stock, which members were holding with them, these also will be through pledge only. So current accounts needs to be closed and new account have to be opened, and in which all the funded stock under margin trading facility needs to be pledged to the member. In case of margin for funded stock, those also needs to be pledged, but this funded stock cannot be pledged. And this is not new. This is going on for quite some time now. Funded stocks are not to be pledged. And even the margin which is coming from the member for MTF is also through pledge facility only. These will not be transferred to the member. Yeah, next. As I said, all the accounts would be required to be closed. And Rajiv ji was mentioning about EPI. So for EPI and pool shares, suppose somebody has sold shares and member has made the EPI, or client has given it to member and member has made the EPI, or client has transferred into the pool account, whether those would be considered as margin or not. See, in case shares are lying in EPI or pool, there are two methods. One is EPI, which is done through the clearing corporation mechanism. And if it is done within the time period, then of course margin would be dropped. Margin would be reduced on those positions. But in case EPI is done after the stipulated time, or the delivery is given to the pool account after client has sold the securities, this also we have represented to SEBI that in such cases, margin on those stocks which are sold, and either EPI is done after the EPI stipulated time or shares are transferred as delivery to the pool account, margin should not be levied on those stocks, on those trades which are done by the client through the member. So this also we will be clarifying in the FAQ, although as Rajiv ji said, I have given a view of exchange and our discussion with SEBI on this aspect, and soon we will be giving you through FAQ also, and I hope that this will come through like this, what I have clarified just now. Last thing which members are required to do, that whatever stocks are lying in client collateral account needs to be given back to client. From there, if there is a margin, they can pledge it again. If there is no margin, there is no need to pledge it again. And as far as settlement is concerned for these securities, because member is not holding currently any security, there is no requirement of security settlement. However, as a good practice, I would suggest that in case the securities are pledged and repledged to CM or CC, and there is no margin requirement, we should unpledge it. This is just as a good practice I am suggesting, but there is no mandate written in any of the circular or in any of the FAQ we would be issuing. While we transfer the securities to client accounts, in case member says that there are certain debits in client accounts, those can be adjusted. We can give a notice like we did at the time of handling client securities. We can tell client to repay the debit and take the securities in client. If client is not giving us the money, then we can give them a 5-day notice and clear their debits by selling the securities. It is exactly the same we did during handling of securities when we closed the client beneficiary accounts. Apart, just 1 minute. Apart from this, one more attention which is required for member is POA. In POA, currently there is a clause for transfer of securities for margin, so that needs to be deleted. And one clause needs to be added with regard to execution of this new system for pledge. So all this can be done through an addendum, because there is always a SEBI circular of 2010 through which you can give an addendum to all the clients. There is no need to execute a fresh POA for this. And this POA will hold good for going forward. Custodian trades would continue to remain same as currently it is. There is no change in that. And with regard to implementation of exactly the pledge repledge, of course, from 1st of September, no securities which are lying in client collateral account or with the CMCC in the old system will be accepted as margin and will be considered as margin collected. So these are my views on the new system, which is going to be effective from 1st of August. And I won't take much of your time, would be happy to take more and more questions, because I saw a lot of questions were getting posted. I could see the number going in 3 digits, 100 plus. So let's take the questions from members. Rajiv ji, you are on mute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Renu ji, for reminding me to put my on unmute, and thank you for giving such an enlightening presentation. And I hope by your presentation, majority of the questions would already have been solved, because I'm seeing there's a lot of repetition in the questions raised. So I hope that we'll have a little shortened question answer session. But thank you in any case. And now I would invite Mr. Mahesh Agal.
We will take, actually, the presentation part is this much, Rajiv ji, because nothing much in this. We will have more questions. So Mahesh, me and Shubhankar along with Vikram ji and Huzefa will take questions directly now.
Right. And acha, okay, so he won't give any
No.
talk. Okay.
Actually, nothing much is there. It is a
Okay, fine.
small
Okay,
change. Looks big.
okay. So, dear members, just let me introduce Mr. Mahesh Agal. He is currently working with Inspection Department of NSE and handles all circulars, rules, and regulations related work, including drafting and finalization. By qualification, he is a chartered accountant and FRM. Now you know from where all those beautiful circulars are coming at a breakneck speed, and he's making full use of work from home environment, and he works from day till night drafting all those beautiful circulars. So let me now invite Mr. Ravi. He's Mr. Ravi Ramaiya. He's from SECMARK. He has been working in securities market since last 25 years. Worked at NSE from 2000 to 2005. So all the panelists know each other. That's very nice. In inspection and investigation departments. Very good. Since 2005, he has been consulting financial institutions, including exchanges, brokers, depository participants, portfolio managers, insurance companies, investment advisors. He specializes in areas of compliances, SEBI and SAT matters, setting up of brokerage houses for banks, financial institutions, etc., operations, risk management, and now ANMI has empaneled SECMARK, his company, as the official advisor to all our members on ANMI platform for advising on all compliance matters. And he is well versed with the subject. I invite Mr. Ravi Ramaiya to take the session forward, and he will handle all the questions himself or ask the panelists to take care of the questions. Mr. Ravi, please.
Thank you, Rajiv sir, for a very, very generous introduction. And it has been a privilege to associate with ANMI and serve the broking community in the best way possible, to the extent with the knowledge and experience that we possess. And with regards to the today's format, sir, it has been a long discussion on the entire presentation, which has in fact clarified quite a lot of questions that we already had. And I also had an opportunity to share the questions with the NSE team, and they were quite kind enough to answer many of them, even though it was sent to them last night. So the presentation has already covered some of the questions, but there are many questions which which have been posted today as well. So there is a short presentation on only comprising of the questions. So we can post the questions, and the exchange team's experience and expertise and knowledge can be used for resolving those questions. So I'll start sharing my screen where I have questions with me, and NSE team can kindly take it up with the appropriate answers. So this question per se has already been answered. I will just quickly refresh, because if someone has joined later. One is if someone is a trading member in the capital market segment and also a trading member in F&O segment, what does he need to do? First is that it is already answered by Huzefa, that only one account is to be opened. Second is where a trading member is I am a trading member and a self-clearing member on the exchange. To this also it has been answered that only one client securities margin pledge account is to be opened. Then, sir, third question is something which would be relevant. If I have one account, can I release the shares with the CM as a trading member and give it to another exchange as a clearing member, or vice versa? So this one question I think is remaining.
Let me answer this. You can definitely, if the client has authorized when giving the shares that it can be used for all segments, the trading member can release the pledge from one exchange or one segment and then again repledge to other segment, which may be also in other segment or other exchange also. So you need not give it back to the client and then take it back. This is subject to that the client, when giving the pledge, has authorized that the securities can be used for all segments. Because now the client, while pledging, has to specify whether the securities are for specific segments or for all segments.
Right. And the fourth one, in case of multiple accounts opened by a company who is clearing member at some place, trading member at some place, how does the entire workflow happen for them? Does it remain the same? He can use all the accounts for pledging securities at all clearing corporations and clearing members, or it is going to be different for multiple accounts?
Now you can continue multiple accounts for multiple exchanges and multiple CCs and multiple segments. The only case would be when the client pledges, he will be selecting one account in which the pledge has been created. Now, in case the member wants to shift it to other account, then he will have to first release the securities back to the client, and then the client will have to again pledge it to the new account of the TM. So this will require, so in the first case, the member need not go back to the client, and he himself from the single account can pledge to different members and different clearing corporations. But in this case, if they have multiple accounts for different clearing corporations, the pledge will have to be released back to the client, and then the client will have to again pledge it in the new account. So that in case of multiple accounts, the securities will have to go back to the client, and then they will have to do it.
Right, right, right. So I think overall, if we see, it would be more flexible and convenient for one entity to have only one client securities margin pledge account, because then it would reduce the number of hops that would be required for moving the securities from one exchange or one clearing member to another. Am I correct, Huzefa sir?
Yes, absolutely correct.
Right, thanks. Now, these were 4 connected questions. Now, these 2 questions are also connected. That I am a trading member and a clearing member, and also clear trades for other trading members. Now, how many securities margin pledge accounts should I maintain? So, is it requirement for a TM who is also a clearing for other members to have separate accounts for his TM business and separate account for his clearing business, or he can have one common account as a TCM?
He can have one common account, because now what will happen is all information will be recorded in the pledge instructions. So the client code, the TM code will be recorded in the pledge instructions. So he can use the same account to accept pledges from his direct clients also, and from his other trading members also. And then from the same account, he can repledge it to the clearing corporation also.
Right. So this answers the second question as well. Thank you. Now, this is a situation where I am a self-clearing member doing proprietary trading, and I have currently pledged my own shares with NCL. How do I pledge my own proprietary shares in favor of NCL? Now, this question has come up because the nomenclature of the account is client securities margin pledge account. So, can I use this account for pledging my own shares, or do I need to have an own shares margin pledge account kind of nomenclature? Now, this comes from the background that for bank accounts, I have own bank account and client bank account, which nomenclature is completely different.
So let me take this into 2 parts. One is that today members would be using the facility of a custodian. So we have a separate facility where people can go and open accounts with custodians, and through that they can pledge. So they can continue to pledge their own securities from that account, because we are not discontinuing the custodian route. So they can continue to pledge their own accounts, own securities from the custodian's route. With respect to this, whether they can use the new methodology for prop also, we may have to check with depositories whether their compliance will be allowing them to use this account, or they need to open. So maybe it's a question which needs to be posed to a depositories team for this.
Fine, fine. So part 2 of question 3 is something that is to be clarified by the depositories, you meant to say.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll move to question number 4, which is already answered that addendum would be sufficient. So I think we can quickly skip this question.
Yes.
How does the confirmation mechanism for pledge repledge work when a client does not have an email ID and a mobile number? So to sum up, is there a completely physical mechanism where the pledge request can be physical pledge request form can be relied upon for such a pledge marking?
So this will, I think, have to be checked with DP1.
Your voice, madam, is very small.
I'm saying that I think this needs to be looked at by DP also, because this system is OTP based. So in case they don't have mobile number, how will it work? I think needs to be taken up with depositories.
Right. Fine, madam.
Sir, in my opinion, this mobile number is mandatory, because without OTP, this entire system will not work.
Correct.
It's unlike the normal pledge where there is no OTP, nothing. This is a pledge for trading in the securities market. It's a client pledge account. Margin for margin purposes, so this has to necessarily work with OTPs and emails.
Right. How frequently during the day the clearing corporation will allocate the margin requirements of clients to the available securities of the clients? Now this question comes up because till the time the allocation is done, the clearing members' own funds would be blocked towards the exposure taken by all its clients.
So I think what we spoke in the presentation, we are going to try and do it as real time as possible, but still there will be few seconds or few moments delay will be there. So it will not be a batch process, but we will try and do it as near to real time as possible. But still there will be some time gap. So CM needs to ensure that for that some time they have sufficient collateral available.
Thank you very much, Huzefa. In fact, this was a very big concern. Few seconds or few minutes here and there does not generally matter, because clearing members per se keep sufficient collaterals with the exchange. But since the exchange has been able to reduce the time span to few seconds or few minutes, it is going to be a very wonderful arrangement for clearing members. Now, this is in a particular situation where I am a trading member and not doing proprietary trading, but have own shares which I want to pledge with the clearing member. Can I pledge these shares directly with my clearing member, or I have to route it through a repledge mechanism by pledging it to my client securities margin pledge account?
It has to be through the trading member's account only. The clients cannot directly pledge to the clearing member.
I think I have not made my question clear. I am a trading member, so I have my own client securities margin pledge account. My clients mark a pledge in favor of my entity towards this account.
Yes.
And then I repledge it to my clearing member.
Yes.
In the current situation, if I have my own stock, can I directly give it to the favor of clearing members client securities margin account, or I have to route it to my my trading members securities margin pledge account, and from there I have to repledge it to the clearing member?
So you're basically talking about TM's proprietary shares.
Yes, yes.
So like I said, that we again have to check with the depository on that, whether they can do it directly or they have to route it through the client account. Because for us, anyway, it will be coming only from the CM's account. But this is again more of a procedural part which depositories will have to clarify as to how they will permit it.
Right. Now, these shares can be, of course, that is answered that it will be all, used as a working capital management to meet my working capital. In case of abrupt movement in markets, can my shares be treated as a margin with clearing member even though I do not have any proprietary trading?
Yes, so like we said in the presentation that the TM's proprietary shares can be used to cover proprietary plus all clients' margins which are trading through such TMs. And CM's own shares can be used to cover margin requirement for all TMs clearing through such TMs.
Right. Sir, now there is one more very good feature of the entire process, that the end clients whose exposure is less or who does not have an exposure is protected in this format, as the charge on those securities would not be invoked till the time one person has an open position. So will a similar protection be conferred upon a trading member who does not have his own position but only his client's position?
So for trading members, proprietary shares can be used to meet the client's open position, because trading members' own shares can be used to meet the client's obligation. It cannot, but the only protection which will be available, that one TM shares cannot be used to meet the requirement of other trading member. But yeah, trading members' own shares can be definitely used to meet any obligations which are outstanding or the client which are clearing or trading through them.
Right. So in case of client default, trading member does not enjoy such a protection even though he does not have any position, right?
Yes, because that is his responsibility to ensure that.
Perfect. Perfect. Now I have pledged some shares towards my base capital requirement. Does the current pledge repledge system also affect the base capital and additional base capital requirement? So will that process also change?
So base capital requirement will continue as it is. There is no change in that. Additional base capital is nothing but the shares pledged towards margin deposit. So margin deposit is where the whole process will change.
Fine. So base capital remains as old system, and uh, in addition to whatever is the base capital, that is the additional base capital moves to the new system.
Yes.
Fine. Now I am a trading member doing proprietary trading as well as clientele trading. How do I pledge my securities with my CM to get the exposure for proprietary account only and not to the clients? So is there any mechanism of segregation if I want to do it, that I only want my shares to be used for my proprietary and not for my clients? So is that possible?
No, I think like it's like the same answer which we answered earlier. The TM's total collateral is available to meet his own shares plus his client's margins. So there is no such system as such, because TM is finally responsible for all his clients. So it's like asking whether the TM shares are protected or not. So it's similarly,
Fine.
TM shares are there, they will be used to clients' exposures also.
Perfect. Huzefa, can you be a bit louder? The voice is a bit low.
Yeah, so I'm saying that the TM shares can be used to clients this also.
Fine. Fine.
Exposure also.
Yeah. Mm. Now, members are required to have multiple pool accounts for each exchange, both with NSDL and CDSL. Will members be required to open client securities margin pledge account separately for each exchange? That you have already answered, that one can have a common account. Now, second part is still what you can answer. Will the members be required to open client securities margin pledge account with both depositories, or inter-depository pledge and repledge system is being implemented?
So our understanding, which we have got from depository as of now, we need to reconfirm with the depositories that to start with, inter-depository pledge is not allowed. So if the client, if the members are having clients in both the depositories, they will have to maintain this account in both the depositories, because to start with, I think depositories are not permitting inter-pledge, but I think we'll have to check with them as to when that facility will be available.
Fine. So if a trading member has one NSDL and one CDSL account, both account can be used for further pledging and repledging, whatever mechanism that is available, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a separate format for KYC kit for opening client securities margin pledge account, which would with specific clauses and conditions of that account, or we can use the same standard kit for account opening of these accounts?
The rest of the things are same. As I said, POA needs to be amended and addendum needs to be done. So that's it. Nothing much from our side. From depository side, I was reading in their circular that they are taking one consent form for pledging that needs to be complied with as per depository requirement.
Right. Now, this was actually, madam, for opening my account as a trading member with a depository.
Okay.
So, will I have a separate kind of set of documents like I have for, let us say, our 5-point letter for our settlement accounts?
Okay.
So, will there be something separate for opening these kind of accounts?
No, so from a clearing corporation point of view, only the clearing member will have to register this account with clearing corporation. So that also they simply need to give one deed of pledge and the client masters and one covering letter.
Sir, your voice is not clear, sir.
Hello. Yeah, they need to give a covering letter and a deed of pledge along with the client account which they opened, the clearing member.
Right.
So if they open multiple accounts, they will have to provide multiple documents. If it's single account, only single documentation is required.
Perfect, sir. Now, is there a this is done. A client's shares are pledged with a TM and the same are repriced to NCL. The client sells these shares. Can we get the repledge released and invoke the pledge for making paying, or we have to release the pledge to free the client securities and then transfer those securities from client's beneficiary account to our pool account for paying? So there can be two methods. Now, once NCL has released those shares, they are still placed in my favor where he has a sell obligation. So can I simply invoke those shares and make a pay-in right from my client securities margin pledge account to my pool account, or I will have to release it back to the client, and then client's demat account will have to be debited for the transfer towards pool account?
So in this case, member will have to release the share. Invoke is required in case of default, I believe.
Sir, even if you see the SEBI circular, it's clearly mentioned that invocation will only happen when the client has defaulted. So in case of normal sell transaction, here the securities has to be released to the client's demat account, and then by way of POA or on market transfer, the securities has to be transferred to the pool account.
Fine.
Okay, so here PO and pledge both will work. We have to replace the release the pledge to the client beneficiary account, and then based on the POA, we have to again pick the share for paying purpose.
So, yes, that is as per the client and broker. If the POA has been taken for meeting settlement obligation, then obviously member can transfer the securities to the pool account through POA. And if there is no POA, then client will transfer it through on market transfers.
हाँ, तो ये आज के दिन में मेजर क्वेश्चन रहेगा, क्योंकि आज के दिन में जितने भी शेयर बेचते हैं वो पीओए से हम लोग पिक करते हैं और एक्सचेंज को पे इन कर देते हैं। अभी नए सिस्टम में अगर 100 शेयर XYZ का शेयर अगर उसने प्लेस किया है और 3 दिन बाद बेच दिया, तो पहले हमको प्लेस को उसको रिलीज करना होगा, तो क्लाइंट के बेन में जाएगा और बेन में जाएगा, फिर हाथों हाथ हम लोग उसको लेके पे इन करेंगे उसी पीओए से जिसको हम एज ऑफ नाउ यूज कर रहे हैं। करेक्ट
सर? एक्चुअली अभी सिक्योरिटी तो पड़ी तो क्लाइंट के अकाउंट में ही है, एज यू आर राइटली सेइंग। मूव तो हो ही नहीं रही है, यू आर ओनली मार्किंग इट एज अनप्लेज, तो वहीं पड़ी है, वहां से चली जाएगी।
ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन है जो सभी के दिमाग में, इसलिए मैं जरा सा इसको क्लैरिफाई
कर दूं। इसीलिए हमने बोला कि सिक्योरिटी तो वहीं पड़ी है, कहीं जानी नहीं है, इट इज देयर इन क्लाइंट अकाउंट।
हाँ, ये आपका बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है जी। थैंक यू, प्लीज कंटिन्यू।
या can the shares which are lying in our existing margin account be considered as margin across all the exchanges till 31st August 2020? That Renu madam has already answered.
See, I said that we have made representations to the SEBI and we are hopeful that this will be accepted and we will be issuing FAQ by today evening.
Very nice, madam. Very nice. Now, as per the recent circular dated July 20, 2020, verification of peak margin collection is going to be implemented in a phased manner. Will the penalty for margin collection and reporting for capital market segment be clubbed with that, or it will be applicable from August 1st itself?
So I think that has been clarified. The cash market margin reporting based on end of day files will start from 1st August. The penalty, actually the reporting process has already started from January 1st. There was no penalty as such, which will start from August 1st. And the peak margin reporting, again, it will work in 2 phases. We will start disseminating the files from October 1st so people can start reporting and checking the system. And penalty for shortfall in peak margin will start from December 1st in a phase manner.
Right. In case where a client has not paid full amount against his purchase and the shares are in client unpaid securities account, and pursuant to the pursuant debit is already posted in the ledger, the value of debit is less than the value of securities after haircut. In this situation, can the excess value of securities be considered as a margin as the debit is already affected in the client's ledger?
Whatever securities you would be transferring to the client, and this is available under pledge repledge, will only be considered as margin. So in case client has paid for the partial shares, those partial shares can be transferred to the client and can be pledge repledge, so that margin can be taken.
Right. So whatever payment has already been made, those shares we can transfer to the client's beneficiary account, and from there we can mark a pledge to our client securities margin pledge account and use it as a margin. That is what, madam?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Right. So, madam, I am through with the first level of questions which were already there with me. Now we can take up some important questions which are there, which have come on the chat.
Ravi, in continuation with this last query, suppose the shares are lying in KUSA account, will they be considered as value?
Actually,
no, sir, she has already replied.
Yeah.
That it won't be considered till the time it is coming through margin pledge facility. Shares held in KUSA account will not be a part of the margin collection.
Okay.
Yeah. Sir, now, is there any direction to software vendors, empaneled software vendors from the exchange to also implement these changes? Because you would be aware most of the people they are using CTCL systems. Now, pledge marking during the day will have to be included and embedded in these systems as well. So, has any instruction or a deadline been suggested from the exchange to the empaneled vendors for upgrading their software?
Have been continuously in touch with them, and I think last week or last to last week we have done a webinar also where even software vendors were also there. I'm sure that they are ready with the system, and we can again check with them the availability of all the parameters which are to be implemented from 1st of August.
Right. Sir, how are we placed with regards to the time that is available for questions? Because I have a very, very long list which is there. Though selective, not all more than 100, but I have at least 10 to 15 more. So will it be okay if we can continue?
Yes.
Yeah.
Certainly, Raviji, we should continue because there are a lot of query and whatever is the relevant, other than whatever you have asked, we should get clarification.
Yes. I am reading from the WhatsApp, so it will take a little bit more time because I don't have it ready. Please bear with me.
Yeah, take your time.
Yeah. Madam, now for a person who is a member of both BSE and NSE, while pledging the shares, what TM ID should he mention? For NSE, it is only the NSE TM ID, or he can use any of the IDs, kind of BSE ID or NSE ID?
So I think when it comes to clearing corporation, we are now, since we are doing interoperability and we clear trades for all exchanges, if it is received in any of the IDs, at least NSE clearing will be able to manage and give the exposures to the respective TM. So irrespective of whichever exchange IDs the TM is using, it will given. Only thing is the UCC will be used is what comes in the pledge instruction. Even if the TM ID is of BSC, NCL will use the NCL ID for giving the exposure.
Right.
Ravi, one thing I will request you, you kindly go through the Zoom chat. There are a lot of queries. So you have to ask some important questions from there also.
Sir, these are the shortlisted questions from Zoom chat only.
Okay.
I have my colleague Vandana, so she is constantly tracking these questions.
Good.
And she is sending it to me on WhatsApp.
Okay, good.
Right.
Please continue.
Yeah. Now, sir, this is with, though may pertain to DP, but are you by any chance aware what would be the substatus of these accounts? Because in Demat account, there is a status as well as a substatus.
You need to check with depository only.
Yeah, I think there are in the circular issued by depositories, they have specified what type of substatuses can be there for these accounts.
Fine, sir. So now there is a difference between approved securities which are permitted by clearing corporation as acceptance for margin and those which are permitted for MTF. Now, is there any possibility that these differences can be ironed out and same list can be permitted at both places? Because effectively both systems will now be working on pledge repledge mechanism. So is there a possibility of this?
Can you repeat your question?
Madam, as on date, the approved securities accepted by clearing corporation as margins and the list of approved securities where margin trading facility is permitted are different sets. So some securities which are there in the approved list of NSE are still not there in the MTF list. Now, since the entire mechanism for pledge repledge is being implemented at both places, can those lists not be synchronized? Approved list of securities for MTF and approved list for margin deposit with the exchange.
We can represent it to the SEBI because MTF stocks list etc. has been specified by SEBI in their circular.
Fine, madam. And would we be required to specify the segment for which we are pledging the securities to the exchange, or it will be a one margin deposit with the margin pledge with the exchange and exposure can be availed in any segment?
So to start with, the members, the clearing members, when they pledge to clearing corporation, they will have to specify the segment where they want, like they do today. Because whenever they give the initial deposit, they have to specify the segments. What we are working on is that once the security has come in specific segment, we will allow them to move across the segments like the other deposits can be moved. But this may not be available on day one, but subsequently, definitely this facility will be available. Well, the initial pledge will be done in a specific segment, and then if they want, they can shift the securities from one segment to another.
Right.
One thing important, Ravi, in this, whenever that fungibility will be there, it will only be for, and Huzefa, please pitch it. It will only be for securities where the client has said all segments. If the client himself has initiated pledge with a specific segment, then this fungibility might not be available.
Yes, Because
Right, sir. Right.
yeah, so the client also has the option to select the segment, as well as the TM has an option to select the segment when he gives to CM. So if
Perfect.
both
Perfect.
the client and TM have selected all,
In the format of the format deed of pledge.
Sorry, Anup sir, can you be a bit louder?
Sip Jodani.
Still unable to hear you, sir.
ठीक है देखते हैं. Ravi.
Yes.
There are members are continuously sending us the WhatsApp. They need more clarity on the MTF issue.
On the MTF?
Yes, MTF. They need more clarity on the MTF collateral share, which require to be open separate account and place the same from the client. So we need some more clarification on the MTF, margin trading funding.
Right. Renu madam or Huzefa, would it be possible for you to just briefly explain the process for MTF so that it covers all the areas possible?
रेनू जी को भी काफी क्वेरीज आ रही है इसको जरा.
हाँ जी बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. तो देखिए actually how MTF stocks have to be kept either for the funded stock or margin. So suppose one stock has been funded by the trading member. That funded stock currently used to be with member. Now it cannot be lying with the member. It has to be under pledge. So therefore another account has to be opened and where this funded stock would be pledged. Now we come to the margin. So margin also is required to be collected for the margin funding. This margin also needs to be separately maintained and those securities also will be marked under pledge. And nothing can be further pledged to raise funds, either funded stock or the collateral stock received from the clients. And whatever funded stock also has been there under MTF cannot be further pledged for margin purpose anywhere, either with the clearing member or clearing corporation. So there are two rules. One, anytime any client is buying a share under MTF, member will buy and those stocks will be held in a separate account, which is now to be opened and will be under pledge instead of lying with the trading member. And for margin also, those shares also will be under pledge as for the capital market, FNO, currency, any other segment currently proposed from August 1, 2020.
Anup sir, is it adequate or you have some specific questions apart from the...
No, it's okay. See, I have just got various WhatsApp messages from the member to give more clarity on the MTF. And whatever the Renu ma'am has told, I think they should have got the appropriate correct and necessary clarification.
I think the confusion would have been that funded stock should remain with them because they have funded. So this funded stock would also be under pledge as specified in the circular from August 1 instead of keeping it with them. Since it is pledged, it is still under their control only, but it has to be under pledge instead of lying it with them.
Right. Now, madam, with this single clearing corporation clearing transactions for multiple exchanges, can the brokers expect that in future, since every segment is being subjected to margin collection from the clients, can we have one common margin file from the exchange for each client in a columnar form, and we report the entire total margin that we have from that client in the coming future?
So Huzefa, you will take this? You are saying that from
currently, I think this may require a regulatory confirmation also, because currently everything is segment specific and there is no cross mingling or cross addition of segment as such. But yeah, we can note this suggestion and we can check it up with the regulator for better compliance.
Fine, sir.
One question is continuously coming.
हाँ जी.
If a client sells shares of 10 lakhs and does complete early paying to members, want to buy share worth rupees 10 lakh, how would he have to give cash margin for buy transaction? So
You are
that's a very
saying,
common question that we are getting.
you are saying that a client has sold shares.
Should I repeat? If a client sells shares of 10 lakhs and does complete early paying to members, want to buy shares worth rupees 10 lakhs, would he have to give cash margin for buy transaction? यानी कि 10 लाख का शेयर बेच दिया, उसने शेयर भी दे दिया और उसके बाद उसने 10 लाख का शेयर खरीदा, तो वो जो 10 लाख का शेयर खरीदा उसके क्या अलग से मार्जिन देनी पड़ेगी या अलग से मार्जिन लगेगी?
I will come to this. See, as I said during my presentation also, in case client has sold securities and done the EPI as per prescribed time, anyway margin will be dropped for that particular trade, one. And if he does the EPI after the prescribed time, then also that can be considered for margin for that trade. Currently buying from that money which is going to come on T+2 has not been clarified by SEBI yet. So it can be considered as margin for the trade of sell, but for buying, money is not yet come, it will come on T+2, so that has not been said by SEBI.
As you told, clarification ले रहे हैं.
सर अभी उसमें बहुत क्लैरिटी है नहीं, सेलिंग के लिए है, बिकॉज वी हैव रिप्रेजेंटेड दिस एंड वी सेड एंड इट विल कम दैट सेलिंग के लिए जो भी ट्रेड है उस पे जो आपने ईपीआई किया है, इवन आफ्टर द ईपीआई टाइम, वेदर इट इज ईपीआई और ट्रांसफर एज डिलीवरी टू द पूल, विल बी कंसिडर्ड एज मार्जिन फॉर दैट ट्रेड.
उसमें एक जो क्वेश्चन आ रहा है इसमें कि भाई जैसे 1 लाख का शेयर बेचा और 1 लाख का अर्ली पेइंग कर दिया, तो उस 1 लाख के शेयर पे सपोज 30,000 की मार्जिन लग रही है, तो अर्ली पेइंग करने से जो 70,000 रुपए एक्स्ट्रा है, अब हम दूसरा कोई ट्रेड करते हैं लेने का, तो 70,000 से मेरा जो मार्जिन रिक्वायरमेंट है वो फुलफिल हो जाना चाहिए. ये जनरल क्वेरी मेंबर्स की आ रही है.
सर ऐसा
as per the current practice, yes, securities sold in the cash market and provided to transfer to the pool or EPI account, for that benefit has been given for margin of different segment. But now since SEBI has come up with pledge repledge for the purpose of margin, so we are actually discussing with SEBI so that benefit whether can be given to the other trades, but that after discussion with SEBI only we can.
And I would add to this, Anup ji, for the time being, what we can do actually, we can keep the share under pledge. Suppose we have sold it today. If the share is under pledge, at least till T+1, I can use it as a margin for any segment. And then if I make the paying, then after that I have to arrange for the margin requirement for any other position, either in FNO or CD or in cash also. But if it is gone to pool or EPI, then it has to be marked towards that trade, irrespective of the percentage of VAR, etc.
Ravi, please continue with the question.
Yeah. Madam, just a short point to take forward the discussion that was currently being done. Per se requirement of margin is to protect the trading member from client credit risk. Now, once the client has made the early pay-in, no madam, if he has sold the shares in the market and done the early paying, he does not have a price risk for that stock because the price has already been locked, and he does not have any default risk because delivery obligation is already fulfilled. So what the humble request from the member community was that that amount of sales proceeds, since it is going to come from the clearing corporation, it should be treated as available with the broker, because as it is, clearing corporation is not somebody who will default, and there is absolutely zero credit risk with regards to that 1 lakh rupees of the client which is going to come to my account. So that was actually the humble submission, that if you can please push it through the regulators, that wherever there is no credit risk and no price risk and the money is to be received from clearing corporation, that amount should be treated as already received by the member, and benefit of that amount should be given for all transactions.
We will try to represent this also, because the sell side we have represented that apart from pledge repledge system, anything come to clearing trading member, as EPI or delivery should be considered. That has been almost done, but we will take this also forward. The proceeds which are to come, the further position of buy, etc., as Anupji said, should be looked into.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Whether we will have to execute a new pledge undertaking with trading members, this is a question of a clearing member. That a clearing member is clearing for multiple trading members. So will he have to take fresh pledge undertaking from all his trading members, or the existing undertakings would do?
You want to take that one?
Sir, as of now, as a clearing member, for all the trading members who trade through me, I take an undertaking. Now, will that undertaking have to be modified in light of this current pledge and repledge system, or I can continue with the old undertaking which I have taken from the trading members?
I think the clearing member will have to, so we have not suggested any change, but if the clearing member feels so, they can have, because it's anyway a bipartite agreement which we have, they have, as we call as a CMTM agreement. So if they want, they can include any additional clause. Because anyway, we specify only a model agreement, and members can decide what they want to include in it.
Right. Sir, then actually the member has also requested that if NSE can come up with suggestive clauses for protection of rights of both parties in light of the current environment, that will be helpful. Like the mandatory clause kind of suggestion which is already there in case of KYC. There is one mandatory part and the other is a voluntary part. So if some guidance can come from the exchange in light of the current environment, it will be helpful, sir.
We will check on that.
Right, sir. Now, sir, if some client is having a position and he squares off his position, but he continues to keep the securities pledged with the trading member, is there any restriction on that, like quarterly settlement kind of a thing or anything of that sort?
Raviji, as I mentioned, there is no stipulated requirement as of now that you have to unpledge it. But I would suggest that as a good practice, if client is not using it for margin, we must unpledge it. As a good practice, that's it.
Right, right. Wow, wow. Questions are continuously flowing. What would be the UCC code for pro shares release, madam? It will be the TM code?
Yeah. Yes.
Now, can the securities be partially withdrawn if they are pledged? Like if one client has pledged, let us say 100 Reliance, can he only withdraw pledge with regards to 60 Reliance and retain 40?
Yes, I believe that it should be available. Although we can check with the depository, but I believe that it is there. Yes.
Huzefa, you want to
maybe you will have to check with depositories whether such partials are permitted or not, because we need to check with their systems. So if depositories permit partial pledge and release of pledge, from our side, there will be no issues.
Fine. Some members, they have requested clarification on question 9. So I will again take the screen to question 9. I am a trading member doing proprietary trading and clientele trading. How do I pledge my securities to my clearing member to avail exposure in proprietary trading account? Can I prevent my proprietary trading stock? I think this has been very well answered by Huzefa, that trading member stock will compulsorily be adjusted against the obligations of the clients, because he is into the business of stockbroking where he solicits business from its clients. So he is responsible for the risk management of all his clients apart from his own proprietary. So there is always going to be a charge on his own securities, and there is no protection whatsoever to the trading member. So for clients default, brokers securities will be used even if he has proprietary position or he does not have a position. I think that clarifies this.
Ravi, one question is coming on the pop-up screen again and again, that can POA be used for initiating the pledge in the client account? So the SEBI circular mentions it, that POA can be used for initiating it. However, OTP will go to client. So it has to be completed with the identification of OTP by the client.
Perfect. Now,
one more question is there in case of absence of interdepository. In case of absence of interdepository, the next question raised by Sanjay Agrawal, I think.
Hanji.
I think he has raised the in case of absence of interdepository pledge would be very difficult to operate. So is there any clarification on this?
That depository needs to clarify.
Actually, Huzefa mentioned,
I think there are a lot of questions which need to be get clarified from the depositories, I think, no?
Yes. Few questions are there which has to be dealt by them.
That's what I understand. The OTP and all these things, there are the various queries on the OTPs. All these things need to be clarified from the DPs.
In case one representative is there from DP also, would have been good. I am now thinking.
Yeah, this is a very good idea, in fact.
Yeah.
All the questions would be resolved there and then.
Yes. Like we have CC and we have compliance side also. If DP is also around, then it can be fully dealt with.
Yes. So that block needs to be put in place. Now, one question is from Mr. Lalit Mundra. He is asking whether the MTF funded stocks will have to be also through the margin pledge route from 1st August, or for that the deadline of 31st August is applicable?
So from 1st August, MTF funded stock needs to be pledged in the new margin funding account as per SEBI circular.
Sir, now the issue here is that, see, currently the system is not available. Depositories, they have said that they will make it available only on 1st August. So doing everything in one day, like releasing the stocks from my account to the client's account, then again taking back the shares in my favor for by marking a pledge from them, may not be very easy or successful in one day, sir. Because first is on that day the systems itself would be completely new.
So along with the present margin system, which I said that currently lying in client collateral and CMCC, we will continue till 31st parallelly. We will try to patch this also with that parallelly, if we are able to continue this new, whatever stock has been bought under MTF should be under pledge, and remaining could be transferred in a period of maybe by 31st of August. Let's represent this.
Madam, actually, if you then take it up for both, whether MTF stock funded part or the collateral part, for both the same rule should apply, because the
Yes,
hardship
yes,
on day one.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
Agree, agree.
yeah. Someone repeat, so I am taking a bit of time to ignore those. Now, one question per se is with regards to collection of deposits from AP. Now, does this mechanism in any way prevent securities of an AP being kept with the trading member for safety of the trading member?
So in case if you are talking about AP security deposit, then member can accept such securities in the form of pledge in its client security margin pledge account.
So though AP may not be a client, his shares can be pledged in client securities pledge account?
Yes.
No, Raviji, in this case, I think he can create a normal pledge account, a pledge in favor of the trading member.
He will not be
It's not necessary to go through the client margin pledge account. He can just create a pledge in favor of the trading member, and on which he will not have any trading right.
But Rajivji, there is no any other account through which
No, ma'am.
you can.
No. The point is that you can pledge your securities in favor of anyone else securities. So he can create a pledge in favor of my proprietary account. There's no stopping for that.
The proprietary account you may not require. We can do it in the client margin pledge account.
But then the problem is that you will allow him the exposure, plus tomorrow you might come around and say that you have to settle those securities after 3 months.
No, we are not asking currently for settlement. We are not asking.
Okay, now madam, actually there is one more incidental question which comes up. Now members will generally have a back-to-back kind of arrangement, at least with regards to AP securities. That suppose I am a trading member, I have 25 APs who have given me stocks worth totaling to 1 crore rupees. Generally, as a member, if it is not restricted under the current arrangement, the preference would be to have it in my demat account, and if need be, raise money against that shares, because AP and trading members arrangement per se is not prohibitive of the current requirement of shares not being pledged. So is there an option available for the trading members to continue with the old system with regards to APs?
Actually, now the new system does not permit us to transfer securities. So therefore, you will not be able to transfer one. So since transfer is not permitted, therefore you will have to do under pledge, and under pledge you can do it in client margin pledge.
Okay.
Because transfer is not permitted off market. So therefore they cannot give it to trading member in any other form.
So there is some question on the timeline, cut-off timeline. What would be the timeline for a place closure request by CC? One, Mr. Rajesh Kr has raised this issue. What would be the timeline for place closure request by CC? And secondly, what would be the cut-off time for early paying? And third question is time of pledge is important. So these are the few questions on the time of the pledge, repledge, withdrawal of the CC, paying time. So could you highlight on all these issue timing?
So sir, the timing for pledge, release of pledge will be continue as it is what is there currently for what members are doing. As when and where they can, so every 1 hour we get it from the depositories, we will continue to do that. And the release also, members can ask for release intraday also, end of day also. So those for pledge, repledge, the timings will continue to be same. For early pay-in, now the timings we are going to extend up till 7 p.m. So people can do early pay-in on the every day till 7 p.m. And after considering the early pay-in, the final margin files will be downloaded based on which the reporting will happen after 1st August.
So one more question is what I am saying is that regarding margin trading fund, so people are means a bit confused ki, those that broker risk is involved in transfer of MTF stock to client DP for initiating plays. It means they want to say ki, if there is a margin trading facility, MTF share purchase in the MTF and the share has been transferred to the client account, and from there he has to create the place. So why we need to transfer the share to the client account and why we need to create the place? So there the members are seeing some risk. Could you please highlight on this?
Anupji. Actually, Anupji, I believe that this has to be work in tandem like we are doing currently for KUSA. See, if when KUSA account came in picture, a lot of members have raised issues that even if client is in debit, we would like to transfer the securities directly to the client. And since we have pledge POA for pledge of those shares as with us, with the trading member actually. So similarly, actually, now with the new pledge repledge system, all stocks, what SEBI also wants, that should be under pledge repledge mechanism. So even though this funded stock is transferred to the client account and then further pledged, I agree that initial you are saying that it's a risk to the member. But again, this is at present, it is a commercial arrangement between the member and client. And they need to think on it that how they will be transferring and further pledging it back. In case they have POA for pledge repledge also, they can ask client to again initiate a pledge and keep those stocks also under pledge. Those who are offering this MTF facility to client.
Madam, actually there can be a situation where once the broker releases these securities and requests for a repledge, the client may deliberately choose not to use that OTP and refrain the broker from getting the pledge. So at least in the initial phase, no madam, if for the limited extent of the securities which are released for this purpose, if we can do away with the OTP requirement, see otherwise what will happen, the shares will have to be released to the client. Now while releasing those shares, we have released it. I do not have a pledge at the time of releasing it, and client deliberately plays a mischief, then the entire trading system or at least that trading member is at a very huge risk.
In my view, as we were just discussing, that in case this funded stock which we are to transfer continues till 31st, if SEBI also agrees on it, then gradually we can ask the client to
then
close.
It can be done in trenches, that 5 or 6 trenches you can cover one client, then Absolutely. It becomes very easy.
So we will try that works. If it doesn't work 1%, then it is the commercial arrangement member also has to think that how the first closure happens of the debit and then shares are released.
Okay. Now, madam, when it comes to invoking the pledge of a client for a default, if he has multiple securities pledged in the favor of a trading member, can the trading member at his own discretion choose any of them, presuming that the amount of default is not larger than the entire amount of value of securities? Or the client has the discretion which securities to offer for invocation?
I would leave it to actually member for this, the relationship with the client and what securities currently they are doing it, because currently also if the stock is lying with member and in case of any debit, stock is sold, then how members are currently doing it may continue going forward also, keeping the relationship of client. There is no specified rule.
There are 2 or 3 methods, madam. What we do is, first is we prefer to go by the category of the stocks. If I can sell something which is of a lower group, B group or C group, I would not prefer to touch the best group. That is one method which brokers adopt. But if there is not adequate liquidity in that B1, B2 part of securities, then I would prefer to sell the A group as well. Some people, they sell it proportionately across the entire portfolio. So whatever method they are following, that they can continue.
Whatever they are continuing, and I would say that again, customer is king. So you have to see that how customer also is happy. You can align it with that.
Here, madam, there is a question of being happy because it is being invoked. Right.
You should not come and litigate tomorrow.
Yes, yes.
There, I can see some question where the members are having shares as a margin collateral from the APs. So they are asking how to proceed for that.
Those also needs to be transferred and again come through pledge repledge.
Means they will the AP will transfer the share to the broker. Which account?
No, see, currently if they are holding, suppose if a member is holding AP shares as a security deposit, similarly as client share needs to be transferred, AP share also needs to be transferred. Again, it has to come back through pledge repledge route.
Okay, okay. तो उसके लिए एक ही जो अकाउंट अपने खोले उसी में हो जाएगा.
हाँ जी, उसी में हो जाएगा.
उसी में, क्योंकि उसमें डिस्टिंक्शन ऑटोमेटिकली ईच एंड एवरी टाइप ऑफ जो प्लेज उसमें क्रिएट हो रहा है, सबका उसमें डिस्टिंक्शन अलग अलग दिख रहा है, इसलिए एक ही अकाउंट से सारा काम हो जाएगा.
और उसमें भी नंबर ऑफ अकाउंट पे कोई रिस्ट्रिक्शन नहीं है अभी. तो अगर जिसके बहुत ज्यादा एपी हैं और वो चाहते हैं कि एक अलग अकाउंट खोल के उसमें डाल दें ये वाला क्लाइंट मार्जिन सिक्योरिटीज प्लेज अकाउंट, तो वो सारे एपी के उसमें भी रख सकते हैं.
ओके, वो अपनी कन्वीनियंट के हिसाब से वो काम कर सकते हैं.
बिल्कुल.
ओके.
अभी मैडम एक क्वेश्चन ऐसा है कि एक्सचेंजेस के रिकॉर्ड के बेसिस में डिपॉजिटरी अकाउंट्स में यूसीसी का मैपिंग हो रहा है. अभी कुछ क्लाइंट के प्रिज्यूमिंग 3 या 4 डीमैट अकाउंट है, लेकिन उन्होंने केवल एक ही डीमैट अकाउंट ब्रोकर के पास मैप किया है फॉर ट्रेडिंग पर्पस. तो बाकी 3 अकाउंट का स्टॉक हम प्लेज में ले सकेंगे या उसको यूसीसी मैप होने के बाद ही ले सकते हैं?
Should be mapped with UCC because now this requirement has come.
थोड़ा
you can add to it. I am saying now since this requirement has come, I believe that it has to be mapped with UCC. Mahesh, you can add to it in case anything further is there.
Yeah, madam, you rightly said it should be mapped with the UCC, and depository will also not allow.
Can we add more than one demat account in the UCC?
Yes, that can be done. Now, madam, the question becomes other way around, that if I am a client, I have one demat account, but that demat account is mapped with multiple brokers. Then how do I pledge my securities in that demat account?
But UCC are different with different brokers. No?
Exactly. There are all 3 brokers have given me different UCCs.
Then under that only it will be done.
Sorry?
So as per UCC, this will be pledged to separate TMs.
But then in the demat system, is there a possibility of mapping 5 UCCs against me, one demat account?
I don't think so. The DP is restricting it.
नहीं मैम, ये NSGL के सेमिनार में मिस्टर प्रशांत वागल told us that up to 5 trading members will be mapped in the DP account, and the client, while giving the pledge instruction, he has to indicate which trading member and what UCC is he going to activate in that pledge request.
Absolutely, Rajiv ji. तो UCC और trading member तो हम वही बोल रहे थे. Number of accounts which you said 5 is actually DP has to look into it. So if they are permitting up to 5, then it has to be restricted up to 5.
Right. So this resolves a very relevant query. Anup sir, what I would suggest is that till the time I shortlist one more question, if you already have a question, you can please ask.
हाँ, वो तो मैं कर ही रखा, चालू कर दिया क्योंकि मैंने देखा कि काफी क्वेश्चन आ रहा है और आपको समय लग रहा है. तो एक जो इम्पोर्टेंट क्वेश्चन जो सामने मेरे को दिखा कि जैसे किसी भी मेंबर्स का किसी भी क्लाइंट के सिक्योरिटी को रिवोक करना है, तो वो रिवोक का प्रोसेस क्या होगा? मतलब कि किसी क्लाइंट से मेरे को 2 लाख रुपए आना है, वो 2 लाख रुपए नहीं आया, शेयर मेरे पास पड़ा हुआ है और मेरे को उसको बेचना रिवोक करके, तो उसके लिए मेंबर को कैसे प्रोसेस करना होगा?
The revoke procedure is, I think, already specified in the SEBI circular, and it is operational part. I think you need to check with depository as well.
Acha, depository.
Because what I read in the circular, TM will initiate to CM if it is pledged with CM, and then CM will initiate it to CC, CC will release it to them, and then again he will invoke those securities.
Okay, okay. ठीक है, I understood.
जी हाँ.
मैम एक और चीज, जैसे सपोज करिए क्लाइंट इज एक्टिवेटेड ओनली इन द सीएम सेगमेंट and he gives an instruction for his DP marking all segments for pledge creation, then what happens?
Yeah, ideally you should take it for the specific segment. In case he is not active in any other segment, then members should not.
The point is that today he is only in capital market segment, but after 1 week he might decide to work in currency or F&O.
Then you can change the type of all to the all segment. Initially you can start with capital market. Once he is wanting to do F&O or currency, then we can change that. उसको change करके हम उसको all segment करा सकते.
But NSDL says that for that it will have to be depledged first, and then a fresh pledge creation will have to be done.
That DP process has to be followed.
एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेरी आ रही है, विक्रम जी भी आप भी हैं कि भाई क्या कोई पॉसिबिलिटी है कि अपना प्लेस रिक्रिएशन वाला जो सिस्टम 1 तारीख से इम्प्लीमेंट हो रहा है ये अगले 1 या 2 महीने के लिए एक्सटेंड हो जाए? कहीं पर भी आपको रिमोट पॉसिबिलिटी ऐसी दिख रही है?
Not for us to answer. So this is a regulatory mandate. Regulatory mandate as of now clearly says it's 1st of August. So I think as the brokers as well as us as clearing corporations and exchanges, I think we are all looking to adhere to it as of now. So
now this is with regards to release of pledge. How much time would generally the clearing corporation take to release the pledge if everything is falling within the risk parameters of the clearing corporation?
Currently, we release it in the morning. We release it every 30 minutes batches, and then subsequently every 2-hour batches we are doing it. So in the same batches it will continue.
Fine.
Okay, Ravi ji, I want to intervene. We have more than 300 questions still lined up, and we are already 2 hours into the webinar. It's impossible to take all questions right here. You have a list of all questions and you have understood the entire concept very nicely. So I would request you to note down all the questions, all non-repetitive questions. If you could provide an answer, we could forward it to the members. And in case you still have any doubts, you could contact Ms. Renu Bhandari for an answer on a specific issue. And then let's prepare a question answer thing, and we'll just forward it to the members in the next 1 or 2 days. Meanwhile, in the process, NSE will also issue an FAQ, which should answer all the questions, because actually it's running quite late. So I would request, if you have 1 or 2 more very important questions, you may continue.
I agree with you.
Rajiv ji, actually, I have almost scrolled so many questions because most of them are now getting repetitive. Like I received 7 or 8 times the same question with regards to MTF stock, funded as well as collateral. How to release if the client does not then repledge it, what do I do? So such kind of things are getting repeated. I think we could have surely missed out some of the unique questions. But then, as you have rightly guided, we can, at our convenience, take all the 300 questions, segregate into stratas, and reply to each of the question, which is a unique question.
Yes.
So I think that is a good idea rather than prolonging the entire session for a much longer time.
Correct.
So I think it's time to wind up the webinar. We've taken a lot of time of the members, and I think today's presence was more than 750, which is practically an all-time record for any kind of a seminar. And I sincerely thank Mr. Vikram Kothari, Mr. Huzefa, Ms. Renu Bhandari, Mr. Mahesh, Mr. Ravi Ramaiya, and lastly, Mr. Anup Khandelwal, and our dear members who have spent 2 hours, and I hope you would have gone enlightened on the subject. And in case you still have any further queries, you could write in a word to our CEO, Mr. Prasad. He will forward it to Mr. Ravi, and in case he has the answer, he will answer it, or he will try to obtain the answer from the good offices of NSE. And I think it's a fit case to say a thank you. I would request Mr. Anup Khandelwal, our president, to put in a word of thanks.
I'm thankful to Vikram ji, Renu ji, and Ravi ji. A lot of discussion has taken place and a lot of clarification we have got. And based on the various feedbacks, what Rajiv ji has suggested, we will come again. And if required, we will discuss all the things offline, and we will try to find out the solution, the best solution for our members. Thank you for giving the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Anup ji, and thank you, Rajiv ji, for having us over.
We will be in touch with all of you in days to come, because it's a very important matter. There are a lot of confusion. We will continue. We'll be in touch.
Thank you, Rajiv ji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you,
Ravi.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank
Stay
you,
safe.
everybody.
Stay
Yes.
safe. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Okay.
participants.
Thank you. Thank you very much.